Okay, so I have been playing, and for the highlight, I'm paletting. I've been using the same colors we have, and I've been mixing the red with our yellow, and I'm going to add some white to make it lighter. We're going to do two highlights. We're going to do a regular highlight that goes all across the brick, and then we're going to do a very hot highlight that's in the top right corner just to give it a little more punch, okay? So I've decided to add a little bit, and even in this, I hope we have time, but if we don't, I would even go back and add a darker shadow or a lighter one, depending on
Or we can maybe just
like
do
a
it just a
wash.
tiny, like just do like 5 bricks.
Yeah, just to show you, because and I'll do the center here, but you can really have fun pushing the brick. All right. Yeah. This one's more dry. This isn't necessarily a wash like the shadow was. So I'm just gonna, and if the highlight, like if it's a little dry and it skips and it goes, it makes the brick look more real. See how that is? Like it's not as
100%.
solid as the other one.
Yeah.
And then this one, I always go down all the way to the corner of the brick. And then again, this one I'm kind of pulling it, and this is where detail brushes come along. You could do it with chips. The dimensions can be wider, softer, because your bricks are going to be thinner, thicker. This helps play with your
and we have those. There's I brought in my own finches and stuff. They're downstairs where our stuff is. So feel free to use those for what Kim is doing now.
Yeah, fitches are great. If you have fitches, like I don't have as many in my kit anymore, but I love the fitches. They'll give you great lines. So. So I'm going to do a few more of this, and then I'm going to show you the hot highlights and stuff, just in this little mill section.
Exactly. I think that's perfect. I'm going to zoom in so you can kind of see.
And I'm going to switch, but normally when you do this, you do want to try and do like all of the shadow first and then go back with your highlights so that you don't get confused about what brick you've done and what brick you haven't done. Or if you have multiple people, you could have someone on highlight and someone on shadow if you're running a crew.
I think that's a good point. Like, remember Jen Stringfellow brought up the point of your hand, like it will look like you and you'd move around so it doesn't just like, I think the same is true for like if you're doing a big brick wall and it's like 2 of you. When I've done a giant brick wall, I've done a few where I move, transpose yourself with the other scenic artists so that the whole thing looks very uniformed.
And be aware of patterns.
Yes.
You guys will paint patterns. So when you do move, don't do like, I'm going to do 2 foot section, 2 foot section, 2 foot section, because you'll see it. You'll see the hands change. Make it irregular. We're humans. We actually gravitate towards making patterns. So it's something that you have to fight a little bit. All right. Now, doing a thing that Gay would have yelled at me about.
Not washing your brush?
And dipping it into the paint. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm doing the thing you're not supposed to do, but
a lot of, you know what? I do it all the time on demos. Like the minute the camera comes out, you do everything wrong.
You're like, I got this. It's all good. So.
If you could, you know what? Let me see if I can zoom in. See, there's one that's not painted. Let me see if I can call it out. Okay.
Give me a quadrant.
Oh, where your hand just was. The lower.
Yeah.
Right there, that one.
This one?
Yeah. Could you do me a favor? Give me a second. I'm going to zoom in real close to that one.
Okay.
And if you could paint that one, then I'll just get like a real hyper close up.
Okay, let me get the other brush then.
Yeah. So I'm zoomed in like on that okay. Little, yeah.
I'm going to cross again because I got to get my stuff. Okay,
And for those watching it later, I'll put in like a little jazz beat in the back.
Because I'm so jazzy.
Mm-hmm. Some Bob Ross music.
Oh, hell yes.
Is there Bob
Little
Ross
trees.
music? Oh, I bet you
I feel like he. Oh, is this the one that you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait, hold on. I
You-
think,
Yeah. Okay.
wait a second.
Too late. Brick is
It's
done.
okay.
Brick is done.
Okay, hold on. I found one that's not done.
Do you want to go over
Oh,
here?
that one right there.
All
No,
right,
give
you
me a
ready?
second. Give me a second. Hold on. I'll edit. You know what? I was planning not to edit much, but I think I'll edit this. Okay, hold on. Wait.
I'm waiting.
I know. Okay, now paint that one.
All right. So I'm going to paint this one.
So you see what she's doing? And again, it's really that simple. The key is you want to keep your hand kind of steady. And it is going to sound like opposite things. You want them to kind of look the same, but not exactly the same as you redo it.
Yeah.
I know
And
that
you
sounds
can
weird.
go either this way first or this way. There's no right or wrong of like which side you're doing first. It's really what you prefer. That's preference, but you do want to try and vaguely make them look the same. And if you're using the same brush, that will help. Because the same brush should give you a relatively same stroke. Okay. Now I'm going to get you into the...
Yeah, and here's my advice for brushes is if you go to the Art Supply Warehouse in Orange County, where we are in Westminster, they have, when you first walk in, dollar brushes, like $1, $2, $3, $4. Take a look and grab some of those brushes. They're, in my opinion, they're never bad, but then you can find out what you kind of like before spending money.
Also, I would highly suggest Michael's has ones that it's like the pack is like $5 and you get some good ones. I think I want to show one of them because I use it all the time.
I think I know exactly what pack you're talking about.
It's like a $5 pack. It's not very expensive, and I've bought in multiples. Well, this is close. This isn't a Michael's brush, but it's the same thing. But it comes with like 3 or 4 brushes that are flat and thin, and they make the best lines. And I keep them with my kit today. Like when I need to do lines, and if you want very thin, very precise lines, they're the perfect brush for it. If you want something a little more irregular, other brushes will do it, but they're also super cheap. I use them really hard, and when I need them, I can toss them, and $5 later, I have a new pack of, they come in packs of 3. So, and it's like a 4-inch, a 3-inch, and a 2-inch, I think.
Are they synthetic or natural?
They're synthetic.
Synthetic.
Completely synthetic, and I usually have like a yellow, they almost look like the synthetic version of a chip brush, if you can imagine it. They have like a little yellow handle, they're thinner,
yeah,
and they're perfect for lining. I would highly suggest it just because they're very cheap. You can beat them up. And you can salvage them again and again. So
100%.
for brushes that are like, you don't want to spend like, $20 a brush or something. Okay, so I have this little highlight, and we're just gonna go. Am I still?
I can zoom in. Yeah.
Whatever. I just want to. Where
I'll
are you
do
at?
that. You know what? Start going this direction.
This way.
Oh, right there. The one that your brush is on. That brick right. Hold on. That one right there. The one you're pointing at right now is in frame.
All right. So,
okay, I'm zoomed in on it.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to use a really hot highlight just for the very edges of the brick.
Oh, look at that.
I'm going to do a tiny little bit.
The hot highlight.
But you're just going to put it in the corner. You're not going to go across the brick very far.
And again, she's lightening a color that already exists.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm taking my highlight and I'm lightening it. But this is not pure white, but look how it reads very, very light. Yes,
I'm glad you pointed that out because the minute you put pure white on something, here's the key. We're talking about try to keep a controlled palette because otherwise you'll hit that uncanny valley where if all of a sudden you're mixing up stuff like a new lemon yellow out of nowhere.
Or you don't want to have a whole warm thing and then you suddenly have a cool highlight. Like you can do those if that's what the rendering's calling for, but don't try and keep your color palettes.
Correct. Like if the rendering calls for it, like they're using, which is a little bit opposite, a cool highlight and a warm shadow. Not impossible, but I would say maybe avoid that on your own project.
Yeah, usually you'd be following the rendering, like with Anne, with her renderings, because she did so many watercolor layers with her stuff.
Yes.
You would have unusual tones because you would have to build up the layers to get to that. So you could technically have unusual highlights or shadows because there's so much depth to have that watercolor feel. But on a whole, not for brick, not usually for brick. And I only say not usually because if I said never, then someone would do it.
Exactly. Always not usual, or rarely does that happen.
Yes, but not never.
No.
So you see how those bricks suddenly start coming out?
Guys, I'm going to zoom in a little bit just on like the quadrant she painted so you can see how it's just that little corner. And here's the thing. She's doing 2. You might do 4, like one across the whole thing, then one that's like 3/4 slightly.
I'm going to do a darker shadow.
You know, and now here's a darker shadow. I think if you do 2 level highlights and 2 level of shadows, I think that's, to me, that would be the minimum you should do. And here's the other thing. If you do too many, all of a sudden it might look crazy. Yeah. So
I'm doing something because what I would use is, because I have tints on this one, this is where I would use paint. And you want to kind of start with the black and then add your grout color to it, because you want a really, really dark color, but not straight black. Because straight black is
it's like
it's
straight
like what
white.
You just don't want it. And if anything, you can use raw umber instead, a little raw umber. But what we're gonna, and this is where, with this one, I am gonna take all the way across, but it's gonna be really thin.
Let me zoom in. Let me find one. Hold on.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. You know what? If you go to the one directly below the 2 you did, yes.
Okay, let me get more paint and I'll go.
That's 100% in frame right now.
All right, this one?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And this one, we're not going to turn the corner. Okay, so this one, if you do a smaller, darker shadow, don't turn the corner like you did the other shadow. This is what's called a core shadow, and it's the one that's tucked very tightly to the brick. And you want it to be thinner. This is where you would probably use your lining stick if you want it to be a very thin, very controlled line. Hello? No, that's fine.
And are you making it washy?
This one's not a wash. You can thin your paint a little bit, but this one you want to just create a line. And it's not a dry brush like this where we're kind of skipping across the stone. It's just a very, very tight shadow. And I can use and this one you might want to use a lining stick just because if you have a really thin brush. See, and it just again
perfect
adds the depth
here
once more, you know.
Yeah, let me find one that yep. Sort of in frame.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I know I have to catch up with Kim.
How about the one you can see the one in the middle that doesn't have it?
Yes.
You can see the difference of it.
Point at the one that doesn't have it yet. Okay, let me zoom into that one. Let me get it in the frame a little bit more.
Oh yeah, it's great. Yeah. I'm mic'd up. It's crazy. It's all good. It's lovely.
Well,
it's
I kicked the tripod too much. They grabbed my 600 card. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, we took that 600 card away.
So everyone, if you can see, there's Kim. You can see that one has not had the extra dark shadow, and she's going to use the lining stick to make it a very thin, clean shadow.
Yeah. So I lean it up against, and when you do a lining stick, you want to raise your edge. Just so you know, so your lining stick is never flat to the painting. You want to raise it so just the edge that you're using to line with is placed against the canvas or flat, but your back end is tilted up so that the paint doesn't slop down and become a secondary line under your canvas, okay? And then when you draw, you want to do test lines before you do it because you want to see where your line was. I just know. But see how it's directly under that, and it's really, really thin.
Yeah, and you can see how much more that makes that pop. Yeah. That thin, dark line. And again, it looks black, but it's not.
It's not. Yeah.
Okay? Like when we were in art school, a lot of times we would use phthalo green for black.
Or
you know.
the other thing you can do, it was a theater thing, is ultramarine blue and raw umber. If you mix those two, never use straight black, use those two together. That will give you a great shadow color, and your lighting designers will love you.
100%.
So, yeah, and you could do that here. You could do a straight mix of those two, very dark. It would read as black, but it's not, and it gives it a lot of light to play with. That's the fun thing about theater. You guys have lighting designers that can really enhance the things that you guys create. Okay. And you can tell exactly where I've forgotten them. At this point, it does become easy to see where you've missed, at least. We'll step back.
So going back to spattering, which I know we didn't do in here, but sometimes what I might do is mix like the highlight, not the highest highlight, but like the medium highlight, and spatter a little bit with that, as if the brick itself has little chinks in it, you know, little dinks and stuff, and then do the same with the shadow, a spray of the like a spatter, which I'll show you how you spatter with a brush, and a little bit of the dark and a little shadow, because that sort of emulates, you know, when you see a brick and it has like little holes in it, it's kind of that.
Yeah, the spatter can really add to it.
And do that before you take the tape off.
Yes, do that before you take the tape. The classroom would not like me.
Correct. No, we yeah.
But I would not be asked back.
they don't like that. Excellent. So is that your last step?
It is. You would just keep continuing this out. And again, adding spatters and or layers as you see fit or the designer sees. So, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kim.
You're welcome.